Good morning. Today we're going to talk about 2001 to 2010, which is the decade that takes us from the 20th century to the 21st century. So when I say back in the other century, I don't mean 1800. All right. Our presidents were George Bush and then Barack Obama. Gray Davis was the governor of California, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger. Our mayors, Beverly O'Neill, was elected to a third term as a write-in candidate because she wasn't eligible to be on the ballot. And then she was followed by Bob Foster. The world was a mess that decade, as you remember. On September 11th, terrorists flew planes into the World Trade Center and to the Pentagon. One of the outcomes of this was that we now have metal detectors, TSA officers, and bare feet when we're in the airport. In February of 2005, YouTube was founded. I'm sure those of you at home are very happy to have this advance in technology. It is the second most visited site on the internet after Google search. However, in 2006, Google bought YouTube. Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005. Over 1,800 people died, and it was one of the deadliest hurricanes in U.S. history. The first Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, was released in 2001. In the Summer Games in 2008, Michael Phelps set the record for the most gold medals in a single Olympics. Gasoline was $2 a gallon, or $3.61 in today's money. And as far as technology, to connect an external hard drive to your computer, you used FireWire. Do any of you even remember FireWire?
Oh, yeah.
In the last century, 1900s, the Colorado Lagoon in Long Beach was often referred to as the polio pit because of its pollution. At least 9 storm drains emptied into this body of water. In 1998, a group called Friends of the Colorado Lagoon was founded by a member of our church, Ray Thorne. The organization began researching solutions, lobbying appropriate entities, and seeking restoration funds to clean up this place. After 10 years of work, in 2008, approval was given for the first phase of the project. What you see at the lagoon today is so much better than what was there in 2000. The work is ongoing. Unfortunately, Ray passed away in 2021. His wife, Becky, continues to be on the board. He was, as are most of us here, active in the church and in the community. At Bayshore Church, our senior pastor was Charles Ensley, and our associate was Elaine Schopf. In 2000, we turned 75 years old. We had only had 6 pastors in 75 years, but 3 of them were in the first 11 years. Okay? So we had 3 pastors in 64 years, from 1936 to 2000. Or as Dave says, it's like Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. Right? That's my joke. At this time, our organist was also our choir director. That was Al Hess. He wanted us to hire an organist because he just wanted to be the choir director. So we hired Alicia Adams. Alicia played handbells and became the first professional handbell director that we had at the church. Prior to that time, the handbells were led by whoever knew the music that they were playing that week. Al retired in 2006, and later that year, Julie Ramsey became our music director. The youth center was opened on Friday nights with a program called Good Vibrations. It was intended to provide a safe space for young people to gather, and saw youth from many parts of Long Beach over there. And it was just open for games, basketball, whatever you wanted to do. It was not a formal program. In 2005, the UCC General Synod presented the Equal Marriage for All resolution. Our pastor, Charles Ensley, voted in the affirmative. Well, this caused an uproar with some members of our congregation, and we had several contentious meetings here in the sanctuary and at board meetings. When the dust settled, those that agreed with Charlie stayed, and those that didn't moved on. A consistent issue for churches, and indeed all churches, is the need to have a reliable source of income. We were approached by a local communication company to put lease space on our bell tower for cell antennas. Well, the neighbors didn't like that because we were going to, cell phone towers at that time were believed to send out radiation waves that gave children brain cancer. So after several contentious meetings over that issue, we chose not to proceed with the contract. And then there was the parking lot. Okay, so we had been using and maintaining, and I mean maintaining by resurfacing, landscaping, keeping it clean, the parking lot for a number of years. Our council person decided he wanted to move the tot lot on St. Joseph and Livingston to our parking lot and move our parking lot down there so he could extend the parking lot for the businesses on that end of 2nd Street. This time the neighbors came to our defense and said, we don't want our kids in this parking lot. So after a few more contentious meetings, that proposal was withdrawn. But someone complained that it was unfair that the church had use of the lot 7 days a week. Now note, we never charged anyone to park there. If a neighbor asked if they could leave their car for a week or so while they were on vacation, we always said yes. And as I said before, we maintained the lot. Neighbors respected our need for using the parking lot for weddings and funerals, and parking decals were not required. But after that incident, 3 years of negotiations, as Doug's not here, he was more part of that group. We were reduced to exclusive use from noon on Saturday to noon on Sunday. But we no longer had to maintain the lot. I don't know what the city gained from that. Our associate minister, Elaine, left to head a church in Hawaii in 2007. And a member, Laura, was hired to be the Christian Ed director while we decided whether we could hire another associate minister. We needed an associate minister, and in April 2009, Susie became part of our community. Yay. During all those changes in this decade, the congregation continued to work on community outreach. Membership grew. We continued to provide monthly meals to COA. We walked the crop walk each year, supported the Long Beach Food Bank, sponsored families at Christmas, sent our children to Pilgrim Pines each summer, and continued to improve our facilities. And we added another project, providing backpacks filled with school supplies to the children at Lincoln Elementary School in Long Beach. Together as a congregation, we continued to make a difference in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for this wonderful history